and welcome to the latest episode of my Knitting Creative Podcast. My name on Instagram is Orchid's Heart and I live in Birmingham in England. And this video is going to be my creative plans for 2024. So yeah, I asked you guys what you'd prefer my next video to be, whether it would be my favourite winter knits or what I intend to do this year, and you guys mentally voted for what my plans were for this year, so that's what I'm going to start with. As you can tell, I'm a bit croaky. I was a little bit unwell this past week, but I am mostly over it now, so bear with me if my voice does sound a bit croaky. So I hope you're all well. I'm just trying to get comfortable because I always find it really hard sat here to not chop my head off with my tripod and the height of my phone when I set it up. So yeah, hopefully I'm not too chopped off. Got a nice cup of Earl Grey tea, and I lit a lovely candle which is behind me. I don't really like having candles behind me, I prefer them to be in front of me, but then you don't get the cosy benefits, so I might have to keep turning around to keep an eye on it. We shall see. So anyway, I decided this year my initial thoughts were to not put too much on my list. Last year I tried to do too much, I think, or at least, no, I didn't try to do too much. My knitting plans for 2023 list was obscenely long and I knew I was never going to get through it all. And I knew that when I made the list, but I kind of wanted to give myself choices so I could decide as I go what I wanted to make and what I felt like making. So inevitably I did not end up making everything on the list. So I'm having an Andrea Mowry moment, putting hand cream on it whilst I talk to you. So I thought this year I would try and make my list a bit more modest, but I'm not actually sure that it is, you know, now that I'm looking at it. Maybe it is. I'm just a bit alarmed because I'm looking at how much yarn I've piled up next to me, because I have yarn for pretty much all the projects I'm thinking of making, and it looks like a lot. Like, it looks like a lot, so we shall see. So first of all, my knit plans for 2024, and I've got a couple of sewing plans at the end. I decided that I intend to really finish some Languishing WIPs. I don't have that many Languishing WIPs, not by far. I recently watched Young Folk Knits, was it like Whipple Froggy or whatever it was video. She says that she had like 30 Languishing WIPs, or maybe even more, and I was like, oh my god. I think that would really stress me out. I mean, no judgment. I can see how it'd easily be done. But I don't know that I could do that. I think I have 5. I mean, probably more than that, because I probably have 5 pairs of half-made socks. I'm only really counting a couple of those, because I think some of them, if I'm honest, I'm probably never going to make the second sock. And that's fine. You know, if the mood ever hits me, then I'll make them, but if not, but there are a couple of pairs I definitely want to make the mate for so that I can wear them. Yeah, so I thought I'm going to have a focus on Languishing WIPs. I do have something that I started at the end of last year, which I'm not so far off finishing, so it's obviously still part of my making plans for this year. And then I have some overspill of projects I thought about making last year, but I didn't get a chance to do, and a couple of new ones. So that's where we're at. So I will start with my Languishing WIPs. So the first Languishing WIP I'm going to share is in my lovely Blue Rabbit House project bag. It's got Raven on it. I really like it. This was a treat I bought myself at some point last year. I do have rather too many project bags now, to be honest. Some I've made, some I've bought. If I've been overindulgent in yarn and feel like I want a treat, a nice project bag seems like a safer treat because it's not yarn. But there we go. I feel like this might be a bit of a mess in here. So my first Languishing WIP is this. Oh, there's a lot of children walking past. How lovely, they must have all been to the park together. It's like 30 odd children with a couple of adults. I have a lovely park at the end of the road. So this is the Colour Craze Shawl by Tammy Gore, I think. And it's a lovely beginner friendly brioche pattern because it's got some tiny bits of brioche in it. Here, and I think I've done 3 sections. I might get one more before I'm finished. And I think I'm between halfway and 3/4 of the way through this, so about 2/3 of the way through. I'm not that far off. And I've knit it predominantly in this really lovely naturally dyed variegated yarn. Which is, another skein of it here, which I'll show you in a minute. Blueface Leicester is a sock yarn, and it's naturally dyed using eco printing methods, which I believe is when you lye plant matter on the yarn and then steam it to imprint the variegated colours, which is why the colours don't muddy together, because you're not heating the water up in a dye bath full of plant bits. And then I'm also using some naturally dyed mini skeins from Mammoth Fibre Co, also sock yarn. And then the yellow is some leftover naturally dyed silk linen. It was silk linen and something else. I don't think it was wool. I'm not sure it was alpaca. I think it was 3 fibres. Anyway, it's the Twig base by Woollenflower, and that's also naturally dyed. So this is like a totally naturally dyed shawl. Actually no, there is some undyed grey type beige in there. And I'm deciding whether to continue with the warm colour palette. I've run out of the yellow, or whether to introduce some of this second skein I recently bought. I don't know if it refocuses or not because I can't see. So, hopefully. And this is Cool Colours. And it's the same base as this warm one. But just different tones. And so this yarn is dyed by Handmade over Yonder. I really like her yarn, and I almost feel like I don't want to share it because I feel like it could get really popular. But it's gorgeous and her work really deserves to be supported. I just don't think I've ever encountered anything else like it, and I'm going to use whatever's left over from either of these probably to make socks. But I will use a nylon reinforced yarn for heels and toes, also to give like a bit of contrast in the sock. So yeah, I don't know, what do you think? Do you think, like, I think these two go, but I wonder if I'm too late in the shawl game to introduce a cool colour, because if you think it will be kind of, I mean, it depends which way you wear your shawls. I probably would wear it this way up, so the cool bit will be at the top and then it'll get warmer. I don't know. I have more of these like warm toned mini skeins. So if you can see, they are kind of all the same colour. And I'm just worried the rest of it might be a bit samey without the yellow. I do have that grey one, which I could introduce for a bit of contrast. So I don't know whether to keep the grey pinky vibe or whether to introduce some cool colours. Let me know what you think. Of course, this is now a bit of a hot mess. Which is the one that was actually attached. Oh, they're a bit of a mess. And so because I keep picking this up and putting this down, every time I pick it up I forget how to do brioche. And so I've probably learned how to do brioche now 6 times, because this is probably the 3rd time I cast the shawl on, because I tried to knit it twice before and I did not like my colour combinations. So yeah, I am enjoying that one. I actually don't know how much I'm going to wear it, because pinks, as you can see, natural colours are more my colours, but I'm hoping that I will still wear it. I did knit a Vertices Unite out of pastel Mammoth Fibre Co dyed yarns, and it's beautiful, but I don't really wear it that often because it's not brown. So I've definitely learned something there. I do get drawn to certain like pinky colours because they look nice, but I don't really wear them that often. So I do need to have a bit of a think about that. So that was probably my longest languishing WIP. And I think I might pick that up soon because it'll feel like it's quite a quick project to finish because I'm 3/4 of the way through. My next languishing WIP is the other one of these socks. So this is the Magic Mycelium pattern by Stone Knits. I did start the second sock. You can see I've got this far. But I think I'm about to do the heel. No, I think maybe I've got one more pattern repeat to do and then I can do the heel. I really ran out of steam with my knitting at the end of last year, and that's why this got abandoned, because it is something that you need to focus on, is 3-stranded colour work, which I actually am finding fine. I thought it'd be really challenging, but I'm not actually catching my floats. And though there are lots of strands, I have tried this one on a few times, and if I'm careful, my toes don't catch. So I think it is going to be probably more of a house sock rather than an out and about sock, because also I want to be able to see them and make the most of them. I also think it needs to be a sock in a situation where I'm going to be mindful taking them on and off. So not a sock to wear after a couple of pints of beer, because, you know, I don't want to damage them trying to get them on and off my feet. And yeah, so I've got, I think, one more pattern repeat to do, and then the heel, and then obviously the pattern repeats for the foot. And I think that one of the reasons why I paused was because it is a bit tight over the width from the point of my heel to the or this part of my foot. So I think I need a bigger heel, and that'll be easy enough to do on the second one. But I think I was umming and ahhing whether I would go back and unpick this heel and do it again. It's not an afterthought heel, but I think I could treat it as such and still do it that way, I hope. I do feel like it being 3-stranded colourwork that makes me a bit nervous, but because the stitches are so easy to see, I think it might make it fairly easy to do. I don't know. And I am holding that project in a project bag I made a long time ago, which is very aptly themed. It's in that purple grey colour and it's covered in mushrooms. And to really finish the theme, because I am mushroom obsessed, I have one of my mushroom stamped lavender sachets in here, and I don't know if you saw, but the stitch marker that is on the sock is also a mushroom, and this is by Simple Natural Handmade. Yes, I have a problem. So there we go, that's another languishing WIP. Because this is a project that requires some thought, and the shawl does a little bit as well, although I think once I get into it maybe it doesn't. I probably won't work on these at the same time. I'll probably work on these when I have a space in my sort of lineup, so that I have an easy project, a thinking project, and a portable project. Because though these are very portable, there probably isn't many situations coming up where I will be in a portable situation where I can really focus. Like, they'd be very good, I think, for a long train journey, but I don't have any of those geared up for a while, so that might need to wait. And then the next languishing WIP, my last languishing WIP, I think, that I know of. I mean, for all I know, there's one hidden somewhere. I mean, there definitely are, but I'm just looking. I don't think any I'm that bothered by. And so the last one is my Christmas socks, which I started with the intention of finishing by Christmas, and then, as I mentioned, got ill. So I haven't got very far. This is the first one, and I've knit the leg, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through the heel flap. Sorry, I thought that was the front door. And so I've done a picot edge, so it's got like a folded, and so I used the instructions for the Persephone Mittens in the Knits About Winter book, and I did the same as I actually would, all the same numbers as for a glove cuff, because I noticed that it was the same size as a sock cuff, for me anyway. And then I'm just doing a vanilla sock, and I'm using Grenouille Fibre Co sock yarn, and this was actually a sock set called Snowdrift. But I'm running out of this one, so I'm going to do the heel flap in this contrast. Then I will do the turning of the heel back into this, and then I will do the toes in this other Grenouille Fibre Co mini skein. So they'll have a bit of a Christmassy vibe. I'm undecided if I will knit the whole pair of the socks or just knit one and then put the other one away for this Christmas. I don't know, we shall see. And I'm going to put that back in my needle minder because I keep picking it up and abandoning it and stitches keep falling off. So let's pop that back in. And I think I might just get up to check that this is indeed recording, because I'm always paranoid that it's not. So if you sew, even if you can sew by hand actually, because it's quite small, these are really easy things to make. It's just a rectangle of fabric, 2 rectangles of fabric. You sew them together, you know, so that all the raw edges are hidden away. Sorry, my brain. And then you just hammer some poppers in, and then you've got like a needle minder for double pointed needles. To be honest, I don't use it that often, but for this Languishing WIP, it has become quite useful. And being that I'm showing off my project bags this video, this is one that I actually won in a giveaway from Knitting Nelly, I don't think last year, maybe the year before. So I think it's an American maker called Woodsy and Wild, and it's just such lovely quality. If you're in the States, I really recommend her bags. I mean, I've obviously never bought one, but it's got like a little zipper pocket in the back, which is really useful for, I mean, I've got like double pointed needles for like the toes and things. I've got stitch markers, all sorts of little things in there that I don't want to lose. And it's got pockets inside as well, on both sides, so it's really lovely. And then I have a small collection of enamel pins. These two are from Katie Greenbean. It says Lichen Fancier and Friend to Fungi, and then just like a little tree, which I think came in the same giveaway prize as this bag. And I just really like the way it feels, and it's a really good sock knitting bag. Probably not much good for anything bigger than that, but excellent for socks, and I do tend to use it as my main go-to travel sock pattern project. And I am going to check that this is filming. Yes, it is, so that's good. And I've realised I've not mentioned what I'm wearing, and it's not a pattern, it's not a project I've worn in quite a while. So this is actually the Nurtured sweater, I think, by Andrea Mowry, and I knit mine in Woolly Mammoth DK, and it's naturally dyed, but it has faded, so you can't really see the speckles as much as you used to be able to, but it was a very lightly variegated cream with like flecks of peach and purples, and I do wonder if the other side might be a bit darker. No. So you can see them in real life, but I'm not sure it's going to show up on the camera. And I think it's an Aran weight pattern, but I thought her DK was quite plump, and I managed to get away with the DK, which obviously means you get more yardage for your skein. So it meant I used up less, so I actually had some left over, which one day I'll make a hat or something with. And I really love this jumper, but I don't wear it very often because I'm really worried about spilling food on it. And it's cropped. Mine is very cropped. I wear it with high-waisted skirts. And so I feel like it's quite a nice jumper to wear, but in situations where I want to look nice, I also tend to be going out for quite messy, potentially spicy curries or tomatoey based Italian food or slurpy Japanese noodles, and I just worry about making a massive mess of it. I did wear it out for lunch yesterday, but I knew that I would take it off whilst I was eating because I was having a burger, and that made me feel a bit better. And I think that's maybe what I need to do. I need to wear it but then just take it off when I'm eating, and then I won't be so worried. But there we go. And if you've seen my skirt whilst I'm getting up and down and you're interested in what that is, that's the Estuary skirt by So Liberated, and it was in a, can't remember the name of it, but it's just a striped linen from Merchant & Mills. I don't think they still do it. Do I remember the name? No, I don't, sorry. But I love Merchant & Mills linen, so always recommend. And so this isn't a languishing WIP, this is a current WIP, which I've been working on quite monotonously, which is unusual for me. I'm not actually sure you've seen it because I've not done a normal podcast for a while. Yes, it is this way around. So this is the sweater number 9 light by My Favourite Things Knitwear, and I'm knitting it in, and I always pronounce this wrong, Adirondack, who knows, I don't have the label here, DK by Battenkill Fibres. I bought this when I was at Rhinebeck. It's really soft, it's a farm yarn, and it's a blend of Romney and other wool. I don't know what the other wool is. But it's this really lovely like brown grey colour, and I've done the back longer than the front, so you can see there that that's what I've done. So yeah, hopefully once it's blocked it will fit a bit better. At the moment it's got kind of strange balloon shape, but I think once I've blocked out the ribbing and everything it'll be fine. I'm also thinking I will probably stitch the neckband down, because unless this really does give a bit with blocking, I'm not really enjoying how tight it is around my neck, so I think I might stitch it down. And it still looks really lovely, so we shall see. Yeah, and so I'm really enjoying that, and I really want it to be like a light but cosy jumper. I wear quite thick jumpers here in the winter, so this being quite a oversized DK, I think maybe feels a lot more floaty and breathable for me, and it's in one of my favourite colours, so I'm really enjoying that. If I'm honest, I think I'll probably finish it in the next week or two, because the sleeve didn't take me that long to do, and at the moment I'm still kind of in quite a simple knitting mood, although I am starting to feel the itch to cast on something more complicated. And it just about still fits in my, I think this is the small shawl size bag by Knitting Nelly. And this was a Rhinebeck purchase. I mean, she wasn't selling them at Rhinebeck, but I met up with her at Rhinebeck and she gave it to me there. So yeah, and it's got these lovely mushrooms on. I spoke to her about wanting a bag, and she showed me this picture of this fabric. I don't know if you can see it, it's got like mushrooms and flowers, and it's really in my colours. It's like orange, cream, green, and I said I absolutely love that fabric. Can you design one with a sawtooth block? I don't care what other fabrics you use because you're really good at choosing fabrics. You know, I trust your judgment, and so she made this, and it's perfect. I love it. That's the last fancy project bag I'm going to show you today. But yeah, so that's kind of my 4 WIPs I've got going. So I'm not necessarily going to prioritise those projects. I think I might have a WIP on the go at the same time as a new project, and maybe try and get those finished up in the next 6 months or so. Perfectly manageable, you know, it's 2 pairs of socks and a shawl. Maybe I'll blitz through them, maybe I won't, we shall see. But I do find when you're just working on old WIPs, like you need a bit of excitement, like a new project. So yeah. So new projects for this year. I have gone through my yarn stash and picked out some lovely gorgeous yarns for projects that I want to work on, that are on my make list, and oh dear, I've just pulled my jumper a bit. They're on my make list, and I would like to knit up. Most of these I actually already have patterns for as well, so for most of these I'm already kind of ready to go. So let me talk through what it is I intend to make with these gorgeous yarns. So the first one actually isn't in that basket, it's predominantly in this jar. So let me get it out. Oh. So my yarn, I don't tend to store them in baskets like this. In the winter, I might give myself a bit more leeway with having yarn lying around. But the minute it starts warming up, or before that point actually, I try to keep my yarn all in sealed jars or bags. My floor at the moment is a huge mess of Ziploc bags, and I try and store all the yarn airtight in those and then in a wooden cabinet. Purely because I'm paranoid, because I do spend a lot of money on my yarn and I would not want any of it to get infested. And this house is quite old, it's like built in 1901, and we have bare floorboards and holes everywhere, and it is a bug lover's paradise in here. Plus, even though we live in the city, we are quite close to, you know, the river, the green fields and things like that, so it is really buggy. And I haven't quite mastered the art of telling the difference between the ones we need to be afraid of and the perfectly harmless ones. So we do get a lot of moths in this house. A lot of them come off the green, and I just get really paranoid that some of them are, you know, wall moths. But anyway, I digress. I have just over 200 grams of this yarn. Don't know what it is. I bought it in America the year before. I'm aware it's the same colour as the jumper I just showed you, but it's a lot rougher. It's from Maine, and I bought this, did I just say that, from Port Fibre in Maine. I bought 2 skeins, each skein was slightly over 100 grams, and I did knit up most of it into a cowl. However, I'm going to unpick it because I don't think this yarn suits the cowl. I knit the Unarmoured Defence cowl in it, which is a lovely pattern, but I haven't really worn it because, you know, it's quite a, don't know what the word is, it's not neat, it's very rustic. I think I really liked the way Cat Weaver's Unarmoured Defence cowl looked in Pluteaux. It was a lot fluffier and chunkier and softer, and mine looks a bit strangled and small, so I'm going to unpick it. And instead, with these, try and show you. And maybe some other scraps I've got lying around, although I think this might be enough. I am going to knit the Ovis sweater by Petite Knit, but I'm going to knit it as a cardigan. Now the only thing I'm concerned about is whether I actually have enough of whatever you end up using for the collar and cuffs to do a button band as well. I'm pretty sure that I weighed all of this, and I'm just shy on what I would need for the background neutral. So this would be the main body colour, hopefully you can see a picture. This would be the main body colour, this would be the pale background contrast colour on the yoke, this would be the colour of the little sheepies, this is obviously like the black dark you can see, and then I believe there's an extra contrast colour just for some like leafy things or some like natural looking shapes, and so I'd use that. So yeah, that's where we are. Can't remember on top of my head because I think it's 2 colour rib for the cuffs and neck, which 2 colours it is and whether I have enough. But yeah, that's my goal. So these yarns are, the greys are Fibre Tales Gotland. It's 50% Gotland, 50% I think they're local merino. And it's a really lovely yarn, and I knit the Alaska pullover with these 2, and I have, you know, a fair amount left, enough that I want to use it for something lovely. I have just over 200 grams of this unknown brown, and then I have 100 grams of this sport weight pure wool from Normandy. I don't know whether this is the breed of the sheep or the place. It says Laissez/Manche. Not sure. and it's Walls from the West. I don't know, I bought this in Paris on a holiday a while ago. And then this is leftover naturally dyed yarn. I think it's a Gotland blend as well from Isle of Skye Natural Dye Company. Yeah, so they're kind of all DK weights, DK to sport, and I believe that's the right weight for that pattern. So there we go. So yes, I'm looking forward to that. So, and I have the pattern, I have the yarn. I could cast it on right away, but I don't know whether this will be my first one I cast on or not. We shall see. So I'm tidying up a little bit as I go because the chaos in this room is unreal, and I don't really want to make it worse. This is going to be a long video, I think. Oh no, I just knocked over my coaster. Right. So then we start with this basket of yarns. So some of these maybe I can do a bit quicker. This is 100 grams of domestic merino from Salkill. No, hold on. It's DK yarn from Salkill Farm. 50% Salkill Farm wool, 50% domestic merino, and it's a single ply. And I'm going to knit the Grow Hat by Fibre Tales. And this might be something I cast on soon, don't know, because it is really calling to me at the moment. So that's one project. Another project which I've been putting off for quite a while, I was gifted this gorgeous Nutidin a while ago. I bought some yarn from a D-stash from somebody, and they knew that I really wanted to try Nutidin, and so she sent me these scraps. And so I was going to knit a cowl. However, because trying to do a long tail cast on with Mycelium was impossible, I figured it'd probably be also impossible with Nutidin. And so I wanted to try and learn how to spin a bit before, so that I could spin a bit of this so that I could cast on the cowl using a long tail cast on, because I want to do a colour work cowl with these. I haven't really decided which pattern yet, so if you have recommendations, do share. If not, I'm going to make something up and hope for the best, using like a chart from another pattern. But I'm a bit worried about gauge, because undoing unspun is a nightmare. So no idea what colours they are. This is all I've got. If you do have any suggestions for projects, please do share. Another cowl I would like to knit is the Pressed Flowers cowl. So I've pulled these out of my stash. This has been in my stash for quite a while. This is again the twig base by Woollenflower, so it's naturally dyed, and it's in this kind of blush pink colour. And this is a yarn I bought most recently at Rhinebeck. It's a DK weight alpaca and something blend. The label's over there, I should have picked it up. And I think I want to get a skein of mohair in a slightly paler blush, just to tone it down a bit. Sorry, my hair gets on everything. And I will knit the Pressed Flowers cowl with these two. I don't know what size, because it comes in 3 sizes. I might just knit until I run out of yarn. The only thing I did think was, my favourite cowl I've ever knit was like a single loop cowl, but it's knit in a tube, so there's no wrong side. So I don't know whether I might try and hack the pattern to kind of be more like that. I think I'd have enough yarn. I'm not sure. So that's something I'm quite excited to cast on, but I might wait a bit to do that. Sorry, because I do have the itch to cast on one of my colourwork jumpers I have planned. Whether it be this one or one of the other 2 I have in this basket. So I have in my stash 3 of these, which is the Scout Sport Weight by Kelbourne Woolens in the colour Juniper Heather. I have this special skein of Spincycle yarns in the colour Deep Bump, and so this was a souvenir from my first trip to America. as was the first 2 skeins of this, and then I bought a 3rd skein when I went the 2nd time. This is some 4-ply yarn by Garthenor, the Presley base, in the colour Butternut. This is some Mystery Surrey Alpaca by Zakama Yarns, bought in a bargain bin. This is some naturally dyed alpaca that I dyed, and I don't know if I need this in this pattern or not, but I'm going to knit the Alpenglow by Andrea Mowry, and I'm also going to turn it into a cardigan. And so this is where I become a little bit unstuck, because I almost definitely don't have enough of the ribbon colour to do the button band as well. So I don't know whether to buy a skein of orange. Actually, I might have just remembered I have some orange somewhere else. It might be too bright. I might have some orange DK weight yarn I could use. I need to have a look. It's not quite as nice a colour as this though, so it might be a bit of a shame to ruin that. But I'm going to knit it as a cardigan in this kind of colour scheme. And I have the pattern, so again I could start that already. So I'm kind of trying to decide whether to cast on the Alpenglow, the Ovis, or this next one. My next garment I have planned for this year is the Tuku by Petite Knit, and I want to knit it in this gorgeous Thrive yarn. I've got the colour Barley and Malt. I've got 3 of the Malt and 1 of the Barley. I suspect I won't use very much of this. And I am trying to decide, and this is where I want your help. I think Woollentwine knit hers in 1 strand of unspun. I'm definitely not going to, sorry, somebody's looking at me talking at the camera through the window, a neighbour. I am definitely not going to knit with it single-stranded. After mentioning this to you guys a couple of weeks ago, I'm worried it will wear badly. So I'm trying to decide whether to hold it with a strand of Midnatssol by Camarose, which is similar to mohair, but it's a tencel wool alpaca blend instead of silk and mohair. So it's slightly more affordable, and I think it's got better eco credentials. Or go rogue and hold it with a strand of Einband. I think that's how you say it, by Lopi. So they've both got the same weight, I believe. Einband is still 225 metres per 50 grams, 25 grams. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's the lace weight. I think that's right. I do need to double check. But it's a single strand of woolly Lopi type yarn, just much finer. So I don't know. Obviously it will throw off the gauge and the jumper will come up a bit bigger, but I don't mind. I don't know whether to hold it with the Einband or with the mohair. The reason why I'm thinking Einband and not mohair is because I don't really envision this jumper to be fluffy. I do kind of envision it more to be rustic. So like matte rustic. I don't want it to be shiny and fluffy. So, and both come out around the same price. So I don't know what you think. Would you do Einband or Midnatssol? So mohairish and fluffy or rustic? Please tell me, because I don't know. And I need to decide, because when I order that, I will probably order my skein of mohair to go with this as well. I'm trying to be organised and order what I need in one go, rather than ordering like multiple lots of yarn. And then the last last 2 projects, and these are projects I'm going to save for later in the year. I am going to finally knit a ranunculus in yarns that I have dyed. So this is one I've over dyed, and this is one I've dyed totally. I was given by a relative 7 skeins of Natural Alpaca DK by King Cole, and they were white. I knew I was never going to have a garment in pure white because disaster zone. And it feels gorgeous, and I know alpaca stretches out. So when Trava and Wool were having a reasonable sale on their naturally dyed mohair fluffy base, this is just a standard mohair, I bought 2 skeins, and they were yellow. Yes. And so when were they yellow? No, they were blue. They were pale indigo, and it even says indigo on here. And the two skeins was two slightly different shades of indigo, to be honest, but quite close. And so I over dyed them with a yellow to get this colour, and I dyed these with indigo and then over dyed them, I think, with the same yellow. And so they are two different colours, but I think they will go together really well and make a gorgeous ranunculus. But I'm going to save that project for later in the year, along with a project with my gorgeous advent. This isn't all of it, this is just a couple. I haven't decided on which pattern I will use for my gorgeous advent from Knitwear Fibre Co, but I have 24 minis. It will probably be a shawl, but I haven't decided which. Probably something quite basic, because we're going to be quite busy in the summer. We've got quite a lot going on this year, and so I wanted to kind of queue up some really lovely but basic projects that I can save for later in the year. My tummy's rumbling. That I will really enjoy, from beautiful yarn but require less brain power. So we're nearly done. That is all of my knitting projects for the year. One of my other main goals for the year is that I do really want to learn to spin, but I'm struggling. I'm really struggling. I bought, and I shared this before, no I didn't buy, I was given by my partner for Christmas a vintage Soviet e-spinner. And I don't know if it's me or the machine, but I'm really struggling. I'm finding it really, really hard. It seems to have to go at quite a fast pace to work, and I can't go that fast. I don't know whether it's because I'm new or whether because it is quite fast, I don't know. Some really kind, lovely soul on Instagram offered to give me her electric eel nano, and she posted it to me, and it was such a generous gift and I was so grateful. And would you believe it, the courier left it on the doorstep and it got stolen, and I don't even know that the courier is going to refund her. She insured it, and I'm absolutely furious because she paid for it to be signed for and they just left it on the doorstep. And my neighbour went to go pick it up off the doorstep within 40 minutes of it being delivered and it was gone. Like, I don't have a front garden. My doorstep's on the pavement. Like, we don't even really have a doorstep, to be honest. The doorstep's the pavement. And so that was really, really sad because I was so excited, because I did have a go on, not the Nano, but the one up from that in America. And it seemed a bit easier. And I thought, oh, brilliant, I could learn on the Nano. And then maybe, because it is quite small, the capacity of it is quite small, I would find it a bit easier on mine. Or I could spin on the Nano and use mine to ply because it's got more capacity. But yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, somebody's probably stolen it thinking it was something valuable and opened it thinking, like, what is this? And it's probably gone in the bin somewhere. So yeah, it really makes me, at the same time, so surprised at the generosity of strangers, and then so angry at the unkindness of strangers that would just take it. It's not like it was a branded box, you know, it was obviously something sent on from like a marketplace or something, you know, it wasn't an Amazon box or an electronics company box or something like that. So that was really sad. Yeah, anyway, enough about that. So I did sort of think about, and I had looked on Marketplace for a second-hand e-spinner from like a better known brand. I saw one by Ashford on there for £300. By the time she saw my message, she'd already sold it. I can't really afford it, but I thought, you know, I do have a bit of money left over from birthday. Maybe I could like rustle the money together somehow. And my partner did say he'd help me. But yeah, at the moment, I'm not really finding any that are affordable. And I don't really know what to do. Like, I am really struggling with the spinning. But to be honest, I'm not really getting anywhere. Or whether I should give up and try learning on a spindle, but that doesn't really appeal to me. Or whether I should just stop and wait until I can afford to buy a better machine. But if you're in the UK and you have an e-spinner you don't want and you'd like to sell it to me, then please let me know. My budget isn't very big. But yeah, I would love to learn. I have some gorgeous fibre I would like to spin up, and I'm just finding it very difficult. And it's really humbling because I think I forgot how long it took me to knit how long it took me to sew. I know it looks like I'm quite a good knitter, but I'm not naturally good at these things. It takes a long time, and I think I forgot how hard it is for me to learn something new. I've shared before, I don't have very good hand-eye coordination. I'm actually a very clumsy person. And yeah, I don't know, like learning new physical things I find very difficult. Once I get it and it's cemented in my brain, it's not that bad, like it's quite easy. But I do find learning them very hard. I'm not one of those people who can just pick it up and do it. I was listening to one of the Forest say the first time she did spinning, she could just do it intuitively, and I was just like, whoa, that seems like a foreign concept to me. I just couldn't. But anyway, so I would like to learn to spin. And then I do have some rather modest sewing goals. So the first one, or the first two I've already started. So I made a mock-up of the Gilbert shirt in an old tablecloth, and I sewed it up using tencel or silk thread, I can't remember which, with the intention of, if it fits, I would dye it, because it has got, the tablecloth did have pen marks and stuff on it, so I'd have to dye a darker colour. Now, this does only just fit. I think I made the size recommended, but it does only just fit me. So I think I will go up a size, and I might put this away. I might dye it, I don't know. I haven't decided, but it's a really lovely pattern. The way you do the back of the shirt, the back yoke, there's no raw edges, you use a burrito method. I did find it quite challenging, but again, I was doing it when I wasn't really feeling my best, so that's why I was finding it challenging. But I made it because I want to make one in this really lovely striped linen. So I think I probably will go up a size and make it anyway, and I wanted to put brass poppers down the front rather than buttons. So that's one sewing project. And that was just a fabric I bought from my local fabric shop. I don't think they have any anymore because it was in the sale. I don't think it's like any major brand or anything like that. It is quite tough, so I hope it'll be okay to wear as a shirt. But there we go. My next project is a really big sewing project. This is a sample. I want to make and it has two names because it used to be called the Wixton Howry and it's now called the Wixton Unfolding Jacket, because they decided, due to cultural appropriation, Howry wasn't the right name to use. And I've shared this idea for this project before, but it's like a sort of, most people make it actually in this, or a lot of people make it in this Merchant at Mills quilted jacquard, and it kind of has a quilted jacket look, but I want to embroider mine with moons and stars and things like that. So I have, mine's a bit darker because I over dyed it. This was a bit that wasn't over dyed, so it's probably more like that colour. No, darker than that. No, I don't think I have something here that colour. And I'm going to embroider it with Shishiko thread. And this is a sample I'm going to turn into a hot water bottle cover for my little hot water bottle. So I've got the cotton, jacquard and some wool wadding, and then I'm going to line it, but I will line this one in some like scrap fabric, not nice fabric. And I'll try and put a photo of this before I washed it. I had some water soluble, I don't know what it's called, and I'm going to have to figure out what it's called because I need to buy like 2 meters. Stuff. It looks like iron and bond fabric or Bondaweb, but it's not. It's not shiny, and when you get it wet it disappears, and you use it for like, it's really good for wool embroidery and things like that. And so I had it on top and I drew the pattern on, so you can see what you're doing as you embroider, and then you wash it and it disappears. Now I don't think I did a very good job of washing this because it's a bit crunchy. But I think I might just leave it, and then when the whole thing is done, wash it again. I don't know, I've not decided. Or I might fling it in the wash when I pre-wash the fabric I bought to line my jacket, which is this really gorgeous, expensive linen on the front here by Merchant at Mills. So it's called the Noreen Blues linen. was £28.50 a metre, which is a lot of money. But I ordered all of these swatches and it was by far the nicest and the most expensive. Like the cheapest one wasn't the right thing. It was indigo bonded linen, and I don't know, it's like, I don't really know what it means. It kind of feels synthetic on the back. And then the others were just either too chunky a weave or like just the wrong colour, or only like £2 a metre cheaper, so what was the point? This is the one I really liked. And the thing is, the pattern's reversible, so the lining, I wouldn't spend so much money on a lining fabric if that wasn't the case. So I can have it, it'll be this kind of but more spread out. That was quite close because it was a small piece. It'll be embroidered on one side and then it will be that on the other side. So if I want something a bit more understated, you will get to see this lovely striped linen. And if you want like the wild embroidered side, you can as well. I'm just really hoping it doesn't end up looking like a dressing gown, because it is kind of an expensive project. I did buy the jacquard cotton cheaper on eBay from someone's stash. The batting is left over from my quilt that I made last year. So, you know, that does make it a bit cheaper, but other costs still mount up. I mean, the fabric alone for the lining was expensive. And I'm probably going to have to buy a lot of shishiko thread and bias binding and things like that to finish the seams. But anyway, I feel like I've been talking a really long time. I was hoping it'd be sunny today because I was going to make a sandwich and go and sit by the river and do some knitting. But it looks like it's going to be really cold outside. So I don't know whether to persevere and do it anyway. I haven't spent enough time outside lately. I might check to see if the sun's going to come out in the next hour and then do that. If not, I'm going to tidy up the massive mess I've made, which you can't see. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope that has inspired you, given you some ideas. You know, if you think I should cast on one of those 3 jumpers first, the Tuku, the Ovis or the Alpenglow, let me know. I obviously don't have all the yarn for the Tuku yet. Kind of leaning towards the Einband, but I'm not sure. Let me know, because then I can place that order and then that could become a contender. You know, we'll see. But let me know what you think and let me know what you're dying to cast on this year. Thank you very much. Goodbye.